Now, I love passive income, money that comes in every month again just because I did a great investment back in the past. But what would you do if somebody would reach out to you saying like, hey, you know what? You got a great investment and I'm willing to pay you money to buy that great investment from you. That actually would mean no more passive income from this property that I have. And no, that's not really great. But could I turn this situation into an even upgrade for my own investments? Because today is tomorrow's past. All of a sudden, I could see opportunities. And yes, this is what happened to me. If you're interested, let's go into the video. Hey, what's up you guys? Lukas here from excelwealth.com. Great that you joined in today, because in today's video, I want to show you what you should do the moment you have a great happy tenant saying to you, I want to buy your real estate investment. In this video, I'll show you the 3 things that I did with my investments. The first thing will be, why do I invest in real estate properties? Now, the second thing is, of course, why would my tenant who lives in my home want to buy my property? And the third step is, of course, is it a smart move? Because in the end, we're actually selling off our investments, saying like, you know what? We don't want to have passive income. We want to have a bulk of money. But then again, money is just a horrible investment because it doesn't do anything at all, right? And of course, if you stay until the end, I even have a bonus tip for you to show you what plans that I have with my money to actually upgrade my investments from today until tomorrow. Oh yeah, and before we go into the video, if you haven't clicked on the subscribe button, be sure to hit that subscribe button, because that's the way how we can grow our community together. And of course, if you haven't checked out my book yet, be sure to click the link down below in the description to get your own copy. Okay, let's get into the video. Now, the first tip that I actually want to talk about is, why do I invest in real estate properties as an investment? Well, real estate properties are actually a next step, for me in this case, after investing in stocks. Now, stocks are great. Stocks have a great return, but the thing is, stocks do have a volatile market going up and down. Whereas a real estate market, yes, the prices do go up and the prices do go down, but that doesn't mean that I have to sell off my property, because in the end, I have tenants living in my properties. And yes, you gotta diversify your portfolio of real estate properties as well. This is why I'm also in different kinds of cities. I've got different kinds of places. I've got different kinds of houses, and each of the houses have a different price, and I've got different kinds of families who live in my homes. And the interesting thing is, the real estate market could go up and down and up and down, but then again, the tenants just pay one fixed price every month again as a nice rental income for me, which is just a return on investment for me. Because in the end, I paid one price for that property. I already know what that price is. I already know what my mortgage is on that house. I already know what the rental income is of that property. And this causes a nice, stable rental income every month again. And next to that, of course, we've got equity growth. The property grows in value over time. And this is what I should be talking about in this video, because the property is generating rental income. Next to that, the property is also generating equity growth. Now, why is buying property a great idea? That is, of course, the second point in this video. The reason why my tenant actually wants to buy my property, well, we gotta actually backtrack slightly. You gotta see it like this. This tenant has been living in my home for about 2 years now. It's a lady in her 50s. She's got 2 children. She's a divorced person, which is horrible for her, of course. But then again, she's got more freedom right now, right? And she actually lives in my apartment. The apartment has 2 bedrooms, meaning, you know, she's got her own bedroom. She's got adult kids. The moment one of the kids come over, they can actually stay in the guest room, and which is very nice. And the apartment is not super big, but then again, it's big enough. So for her, it's kind of her place right now. And she's been living there for 2 years. So she said, hey, Lukas, I love living here. Now, the thing is this. It's not only about the place itself. The location of the property is great as well. It is nearby the city center. If you would take the bike, you know, you could easily cycle to the city center. Within 10 minutes, you're in the middle of the city. Then again, there's a nature area just very nearby. And this is the cool part. And the moment she leans over her balcony from her apartment, she can see the nature, because there's a slight forest nearby. And that's the coolest part. She says you can enjoy the nature, have the facilities within 10 minutes of cycle distance. And yes, in the Netherlands, we tend to cycle a lot. All the facilities are nearby and she can get her rest in her nice own apartment. Now, the only reason for her that she wants to purchase the property is that she says, Lukas, I'm paying 700, 800 euros of rent per month, which is totally fine because I could pay that with my income that I have. But the thing is, I already know that I love living here. I already know that I would want to stay here for longer than 3 or 4 or 5 years. So is it a good idea to be paying rent for this place? Or is it even a greater idea to buy this property? And that was actually the question for her. She did the calculation as well. If she would buy the property for herself, her mortgage would be far lower than the actual rent she's paying right now. So that would be an advantage to her. So instead of paying 600, 700 or 800 euros per month, all of a sudden she could be paying 300, 400 euros per month. And yes, there are more expenses than next to the rent that she only pays because there is insurance and there are taxes. So yes, by purchasing the property, she would always pay less than the amount of rent that I charge her. Makes a lot of sense because yes, for me it's an investment. To her, it's just living in her own home. So yes, it makes a lot of sense for her to buy the property, to want to buy the property. She already loves the place. She already loves the apartment. She has renovated the apartment in her own wishes. She already loves it there. Her kids come by now and then and they can stay over. So yeah, it's all advantages for her. But then again, like I said in the beginning, for me, it's taking away my great investment. For me, it's actually taking away my passive income that I get from this property. So why would I want to sell off this property, right? And that's the next question. Now in point 3 is, of course, should I be selling off this property? Is it a smart move? Now, before we actually can answer the question, you have to do some research on the market. That's what I did as well. So I researched the market. If I would buy this property right now in this current real estate market, how much would I have to pay for this property? And I noticed right away the actual price for a property like this apartment in this area and, in similar size and in similar location, the actual price would be somewhere between 120,000 and 130,000. Now you gotta see it like this. I bought this property many, many years ago for only 80,000 euros. And yes, if I would sell off the property right now, yes, I would get 40, 50,000 euros in my pocket extra. That's my return on investment. That's the equity growth over time because I own this property. But I still have the expenses that I paid for the arranging for the mortgage. I paid for the public notary office. So there are some expenses that I paid for that nobody's gonna pay for. So this is why I discussed with my tenant saying like, hey, you know what? The current market value of this property is 120 up to 130,000 euros. And yes, I know that you can tell the property was purchased back many years ago for only 80,000 euros. You can track that in all the documents. Now, I'm absolutely not going to sell the property for only 80,000 euros to you because, you've been living it for many years. Other tenants have lived in it for many years. We've renovated the place. So yeah, we're not going to sell it off for 80,000 euros. But you may buy the property for 130,000 euros. But then again, that is excluding the expenses that I made. Now, if you're interested in this property with all the expenses that I had to pay for arranging the mortgage, for arranging the public notary office, for arranging the closing costs, everything needs to be paid for. If you're interested still in this property, including all the extra expenses that I had to make while I had to buy this property, then we have a deal. And that came down to a total price of 144,000 euros. You know what my tenant said? She said, deal, let's do it. Because even with a mortgage of 144,000, she would pay less compared to the rent she's paying currently. All the advantages weighed out. That means I had a win in my deal. That means my tenant had a win in her deal. It's a win-win situation. If we can help out people just like this, Because in the end, I'm not the homeowner who says, I'm not going to sell my property off. It's my passive income. Because I listened to her, I could make a great deal with her. I could gain equity growth, over 50,000 euros of equity growth in just several years of time. That's the first thing. The second thing is I got rental income for all the many years that I had people living in that apartment. Now the third thing is she even wanted to pay for all the expenses that I made by buying this property. Now that's a win-win-win. It's a triple win situation. Who wouldn't want that? And for her, it's also a win situation because she had her own property. She had renovated everything in the desire and the style that she wanted to. There's nothing about it anymore. She loved it. And I loved it as well. Just because you're discussing and listening to each other. Oh yeah, and of course, if you liked the video up to now, be sure to smash the like button. Because that's the way how we can influence YouTube's algorithm, of course. And of course, we've got a bonus point because you got out to the end of this video. And the bonus thing is this. What did we do with the 144,000 euros that we got? You already know that that amount of money, 144,000, is gonna come your end the moment she purchases the home, the moment you pass the home in a notary office to her. You already know that. And the interesting thing is this. You can plan for that money to be invested in a next investment. And the next investment for us was, we could easily buy a new property. But the thing is this, if you would buy a new property right now in this overheated real estate market, you would only pay too much for an apartment and the return on investment would be lower. But in the current lockdown situation that we are all in right now, we still see a lot of people traveling in their own countries, having a short stay weekend in a nice city trip, for example. This was our next investment. We bought properties, not only to just buy, hold, and rent it out, but buy and hold and rent it out to people who wanted to have a short stay, which is like, for example, an Airbnb place. So you can all of a sudden rent an apartment, a full apartment, with maybe 2 or 3 bedrooms for only $100 per night for a whole family. All of a sudden, you have a whole apartment to yourself. If you want to go somewhere as a holiday with your whole family and you want to have a place that you want to stay in a short stay period, you can just book through Airbnb or booking.com. You can get a place for only $100 per night. That's a great deal for you and your family, right? You can have a family of maybe 4 people. You have a whole apartment to yourself for only $100 per night. Now there's the catch. If I would have people staying over in my holiday homes during the weekends and during the weekdays, I have people who need to go to work, doctors, nurses, contractors, people who need to go to work and a place to stay, and yet it's cheaper than a hotel. Because a hotel charges you $100 per night for a room. I charge $100 for a whole apartment. And this is the interesting thing. So as a doctor and a nurse, for example, all of a sudden you could stay 2 people in one full apartment for the same price. That would be a great deal for these people who go to work during the weekdays, and it's a great deal for families in the weekend. $100 times 30 nights. Well, you can do the calculation. There you have your return on investment on a certain property. And yes, this is seen for us as an upgrade for an investment. All of a sudden, we're in a different range, and yet we're still in a real estate property. And yes, this is the bonus tip that I wanted to give with you. Of course, if you liked the video, be sure to hit that like button. And of course, if you want to be subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Because hey, that's the way how we can grow a community, right? And of course, if you want to be notified every time a new video comes out, be sure to click that notification bell, because then every time a new video comes out, it's like, hey, Lukas got a new video, be sure to check it out. And that's actually what happens. And of course, if you want to read my journey on investing, be sure to check out my book. It's down below in the description. Get your own copy on Amazon, and it will be shipped to your home, or download the ebook. Be sure to check it out, and I'll see you on the next video. Happy investing, and bye-bye.